Hello guys, my name is Anna and I'm a Ukrainian, and I vlog daily from my country Ukraine to keep you updated on the real life situation during this awful war with Russia. If you're new to the channel, check it, like my videos, and please subscribe because I believe the world needs to know more about Ukraine. And today is one of those videos that I know you enjoy when I take you out and show you some more of my country. Hiking is one of my hobbies, and whenever I have this opportunity I like to walk. I also plan to resume my running when it gets warmer, and this is one of the forests really close to my city, Lutsk. I have already told you that our region is known for its forest. I think that more than 30% of our land is covered with forests. Of course, we also suffer from deforestation and uncontrollable cutting of forests. Also, many people use war as an opportunity to do that, but in general we still have many old forests, and I know that it is quite unusual for Europe because many of its forests were destroyed during the First World War and so on. Here in Ukraine we do have some old forests. I'm not saying this is an example of one, but when it will be safe to travel to Ukraine, those of you who love nature, those of you who love animals, who love close contact with trees, can come and discover a lot in Ukraine. Honestly, we don't have much snow, and this is good this year because it protects lots of our soldiers, though in the east of Ukraine the weather is a little bit more extreme and they have more frost than, for example, we in the center or in the west of Ukraine. But you cannot find snow in my city, for example, but you can find it here. Yeah, it is a little bit too warm for this season, but they wanted to go out. That's why I have put on this mittens, and this is how it all looks. Just a very thin layer of snow, lots of yellow leaves, and a very dull scenery, but I love it too. Now I will try to introduce you to our local trees that are typical for this forest. Once again, this is not a true wild woolly forest because it is really close to the city. You can hear the cars driving, but it represents the typical kinds of trees that grow in our forests. I'm not really good at that, but the ones that are here are pretty popular. They are everywhere around Ukraine, and maybe you will recognize them and find some similarities between the regions where you live and my country. I honestly always like that when you tell me, whoa, we have the same, or something like that. So now I will show you this kind of trees that I am able to recognize. So we can start with oaks. They are old, but not that old as in some other places, and they are very respected trees in Ukraine. I'm standing next to a pine tree, and I personally love them for their smell. It is also a very tall tree, and I think it may have more than 100 years old, and I like the smell and sometimes the tar they produce. Also, here we see a wild cherry. For me it's always easy to recognize it because of this structure, like how do you call that in English? Well, it's easy to recognize then. An old, okay, I could have killed myself right now, but I don't plan to. So here we see a very old birch tree. We drink birch juice. Let me know if you have tried it ever, but I don't like birches. They are very common for Ukraine and they give light forests, but they are often associated with Russian culture as their tree. And right in front of me we have a hornbeam, which are also popular trees in this forest. So in general, all the trees around me will likely be ones that I have introduced you to. Please forgive that I look a little bit sleepy. Maybe I've told you that I sleep a lot these days. This saves me from additional thinking. That is not always good. But here I want to show you the landscape of this forest, and also my city Lutsk was a very important point during the First World War. Later Soviets tried to erase the First World War from history. I don't know actually why, but front lines passed through this forest, both in First World War, in Second World War, and attentive travelers can find the signs of these trenches and so on. But in general, the relief, the landscape, itself is very, very interesting and also good for various actions. So Russian orcs will never come to my region. Have a look. And they are like pretty steep, this like hills. In general, my region is very plain, like there are lots of plains and swamps, but from time to time we have hills and very little snow. Also, I like it that from time to time you ask me about the animals that one can meet in Ukrainian forests, and I personally get always overexcited when I see someone. I don't have good eyesight, and very often like people around me see a hare and I don't, and then I pretend that I saw a hare and still get overexcited. So once again, this forest is really close to the city, but still you can meet here foxes, hares, badgers, sometimes wild boars, and deer, roe deer, and some smaller mice and other hedgehogs and other animals. And I'm always a fan when I can meet an animal, see it, but today they are sleeping. I haven't come across anyone. This is a very popular in Ukraine plant, Periwinkle. We call it barvinok, and it is evergreen. It is often found in the forests, and for example, people put it on the graves of their loved ones too. And there is a legend that it often grows on the places where warriors died, like Kozaki or other. And what is interesting, in this forest I have found it close to an old trench. I don't know whether it is a trench of the First World War or the Second World War, but it is definitely a trench, and it is all covered with periwinkle. There is a pond over there for fishing and some recreational fun that is a result of a river, an influence on a river. And here we see that a small swamp or marsh, or how do you call it properly, has formed in here, and it's very, very typical for my district, for my region. And I honestly think that swamps and fog, it all represents us well, and it's all very mysterious and nice. So this is a place really close to Lutsk where you can fish, where you can do barbecue, have a walk. The river stopped by a dam and a forest, and you see perhaps people are cooking something tasty, roasting meat, and the forest. This part is all in pines. I think it looks pretty nice as for the end of January. So I hope you liked our today's walk. The weather was dry and allowed us, perhaps it's -1 Celsius, and I enjoyed hiking a lot. Let me know if you like hiking and what are your favorite routes for that. Do your countries encourage hiking anyway? Anyway, everything is interesting to me. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for buying me coffees, becoming my patrons, but most importantly, thank you for your attention to my country. And if you're new and want to know more about Ukrainian war, Russian war in Ukraine, and want to know more about my country, please subscribe. Slava Ukraini!